Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Hello, you're welcome to today's edition of Money Radio on Leadership Podcast. And Money Radio is that program, of course, that brings you the latest developments in Nigeria's business and economy cycles and issues of businesses around the world. My name is Innocent Odo, and today we are going to look at a very critical development in the science, technology, and innovation sector of the Nigerian economy. I may interest you to know that the federal government is pushing for a global competitiveness of Nigeria using science, technology, and innovation as the platform to launch Nigeria's competitiveness status in the global community. And so today we're going to interrogate the methods, the techniques, the policies, the programs, and all the variables needed to drive this process in Nigeria so that Nigeria can, as well as the federal government has intended it, earn foreign exchange through science, technology, and innovation. And so it's on that note that we welcome you once again to today's edition. And I'm not alone in the studio. I am here with my regular guest, an ICT expert and cybersecurity expert as well, Haniel Jafaru. Haniel, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Now we are here again talking technology. This time we're looking at the federal government quest to improve Nigeria's competitiveness in the global community through the STI, that's Science, Technology, and Innovation. And so yesterday there was a national dialogue that was opened in Abuja by the Minister of Science, Technology, and Innovation, Olorumibe Deleke Mamora, and other stakeholders who gathered in Abuja yesterday to open up to establish a dialogue center, STI centers, so that Nigeria can drive the process, and as well also engage stakeholders in the implementation of the Executive Order Number 5 that was signed by the federal government in recent times to drive the process of changing Nigeria from what they call a consuming economy to an economy that is now based on knowledge and, of course, productivity. And so we are confident. However, we are also looking at the variables that may determine that may bring about some challenges, rather, on the path of the federal government quest to change the fortunes of Nigeria to become globally competitive. And so, Haniel, you are a very great expert in this field, and you know the variables that determine how strong a nation can be when it employs technology. Now, interrogating these variables, can you really say that this move by the government, even though well-intended, has all the facilities that it requires to push it to the next level?
No.
No, that your no sounds so emphatic.
Yes, we don't. We don't. It's a good initiative. I would always want to commend that open-mindedness to push us to that state of being a global competitor.
Yeah.
But there are variables, as you have rightly mentioned. There are factors you put in place. You don't just like as if you are, as a father, you're buying a car for a child that is 2 years. Yes. Not as though, or a child that is 7 years, not as though that a child is not grown, beyond the fact that it has not grown to the stage where he is permitted to drive.
Yes.
He needs to also be prepared mentally for him to be able to hold his steering. Is Nigeria to drive to become a competitor? According to your words, you say to be competitors in a knowledge-driven economy and a productive economy. How do you derive knowledge? Largely, our knowledge in this part of the world is derived from the four walls of the classroom. Can you say that the four walls of Nigerian classroom has produced the best in recent time?
Well, that question is a very hard question for someone like me, but I know that we have struggled over the years with the university system and even the research institutes in the country not being able to come up with something really tangible that we can say, oh, the world, this is what Nigeria has produced, and we can now compete with it in the global community. That hasn't sounded really optimistic in recent times. Maybe, as we always say, the potential is there, but then how to, of course, harness the potential is what we are looking at. And let me just throw that question back to you again. Yes, we've always believed that since the past 40 years or thereabout, we talk about technological potential of Nigeria. We talk about material potential of Nigeria. We talk about human resource potential of Nigeria. There is no part of Nigeria or no area of Nigeria that you don't find
Potential.
enormous potential. However, Anya, the challenge has always been, can you, in all honesty, that's the question people are asking Nigerians, can you, in all honesty, at least, harness this potential to become actual wealth, actual physical product that people can see? So what is this thing that is drawing us back all the time? We want to progress, something is hindering us, we want to move forward, something is dragging us back. Does it have to do with policy, formulation?
Our academic structure is not designed to make you, as a product of a Nigerian academic, a product from the Nigerian academic institution. Our academic structure is not designed to make students who are graduates to be competitors. Our academic structures are designed to make you an employee. Even during explanation in classroom, the lecturers explain with a mindset that when you go out, you go get a job. You don't become the job. You go get a job. And that's why I was so emphatic with my no. Because that is where it all starts from. The potential starts from. Your potential is what you can do. But if it is not harnessed or built, which is usually the best developed using the context of this country or the context of Nigeria, best developed from the four walls of the classroom, you find out that you would not be able to effectively or efficiently harness the potential that is in a thing. Potential in this context is talking about making the effective use of something. There is a way we can restructure our academic, our curriculum and our academic system in a way that it brings out the best, which are the potentials in Nigeria. Nigerians are only doing what they've been taught in classroom largely, and it is go, graduate, and do what? Get a job. Meanwhile, we've seen rich men of the Western world who left the four walls of the classroom to set up a business and succeeded in it. Why? Because in the course of training, or in the course of you acquiring that academic skill, behind it is an entrepreneurship mindset that is built alongside the skill, to the extent that people don't mind even the academic skill. They will just say, okay, there is a problem. Let us leave this academic skill, look for a way to solve the problem, present the problem to the populace, and let's see if the populace will buy this. Would buy the problem, they buy our solution that we are bringing forth. Facebook was one of it. Facebook is not a graduate. He was a student of computer science, but he was not a graduate of computer science. The guy left school in the middle of his first degree. He left. Why? Because he saw a potential in something, and next that potential, he saw a problem, solved the problem, prepared it, packaged it, and presented it to the world outside classroom.
And today, he's one of the biggest in terms of, you can call it social media platform, where every part of the world is now connected on that platform called Facebook. And there are also variants of what that Facebook, and I mean, I'm talking about sister companies that have developed over the years, also serve as to complement the effort being made. And so, if you also go to China, for instance, I like using China as a benchmark for commitment in technological advancement, or especially of the modern times. I haven't also traveled to the country twice and seen the way they organize the society to become technologically, advanced. It's not really the way we think about it here. So the thinking has to be reordered. We have to reorder the way we think about things like this, and of course, re-strategize, and perhaps even refocus our, on the issues that promote science, technology, and innovation. They're not just issues that will come on the conference. I keep saying this. Coming to the conferences and making media statements about science, technology, and innovation is one thing. Then looking at the variables that will be put together to achieve this, I think the Chinese are a very clear example of what they do now to promote this technology. Now, if you see that the Chinese in the area of even social media, technology now, you see that you might talk about Facebook for of course an American-based platform. The Chinese are talking about WeChat. You talk about WhatsApp. They are talking about Weibo. So you can see that they have equivalent of everything that is made in the West in terms of this social media development, which is scientifically and technologically driven. So we are just watching the world pass us by, and we talk about technology as if there's something that is a rocket science, when we always talk about our people who leave the shores of Nigeria and go become the best, like we say the computer whiskey that Philip Valley and the rest of them who have made great inventions in the world. They all started from here. So what is this thing that is now, I'm not looking at specifically what is holding us back, apart from the poor design of academic system or the curriculum system, is there nothing that can be done to break away from this type of, cocoon that we have found ourselves, which, will not help us anytime?
Yeah, there's a way. There was something China did. Indians did the same thing, and they are where they are now. They first of all acknowledged a faulty mindset, which is one area we have not. We've not acknowledged that our educational curriculum needs changes. We've not acknowledged that our academic system needs complete overhauling and restructuring. We've not acknowledged the fault in our play now. That has to do with knowledge transfer mechanisms. China and India, they acknowledged it. So what did they do? They brought a group of passionate, patriotic, young, energetic citizens. Sent these guys abroad. Go there with the mindset that you're going to learn all you need to learn within a short period. Then come back. You're not coming back to work. You're coming back as a government staff. When you come back, we're going to now design a system where everything you have learned, you transfer it to those that have not gone. Transfer it to those that have not gone. Now, those ones would not be the one to go into the systems to make the changes. Those ones will not be the one doing the necessary research. Those ones will not be the one being the ones who push forth as global competitors. It is not, these things are not a complex thing to do. But now, do we send people abroad as a country? Yes. Are they patriotic? We don't know. Are they energetic? In fact, most persons you send abroad, 80% of them wants to remain here.
More than 80%.
In fact, let me be fair, that some of them will be married and want to come back and meet their family. You get put 80% of young Nigerians. In fact, if you're taking the current Nigerians, the present day Nigerian youth, and you are telling them you are sending them abroad, the first day they step their foot there, they begin to orchestrate how they will remain there. Yet, so you need to first discern, okay, who are the persons I'm sending? Would you be willing to come back without force or pressure? Take note, when you're coming back, there are incentives. When you go, you come back. Immediately you're coming back, we are designing an agent. I don't know how I want to do it, but we're designing a system that keeps you, feeds you, gives you a house, give you this, make you comfortable as though you are there. But there is one thing you will do for us. What you have learned there, transfer it to others.
Which means once it comes that way, it now has this trickle down
It trickles
effect,
down. It trickles down
and
to
then it
those.
begins to take a life of its own.
You get
From
this
within,
thing.
because I understand in China and in India, they have created science, technology, and innovation as a form of not just education, but even a form of culture.
Mhm.
So that culture has permeated every facet of the society, and is beginning to build within itself the life that it has already created in the people. It now recreates itself in different modes. So you can see, for instance, in the social media section, you see what they are doing in, like, with Weibo, with WeChat, with Badu, and the rest of them, and even modernizing some of them. Then in the area of agri-technology, there's what they now call smart agriculture, where they have now produced a technology that can adapt, adaptability, with the climate change. So these people are moving steadily into a new industrial, in fact, post-industrial age now. For instance, for China, that is what the Chinese are looking at. Well, we'll continue with this discussion when we come back from this short break. Don't go away.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're on to Money Radio on Leadership Podcast. And we've been talking about the viability of Nigeria's quest for global competitiveness through the Science, Technology, and Innovation, STI. And before we went on national break, Daniel, I'm just trying to paint a picture of how the Chinese, the Indians, the Malaysians, and the other Asian tigers actually built a society based on science, technology, and innovation. And this has to do a lot with research and development. Now, the amount of money that goes into funding research in those countries are usually extra budgetary allocation. And some of them are actually above the benchmark for Africa, for instance, is that they should commit at least 1% of their GDP to research and development. But I don't think any African country, I stand to be corrected, has actually gotten to that mark. Nigeria only recently increased its own to 0.5% of the GDP dedicated to science, to research and innovation. And so if we begin, Nigeria is already, and other African countries are already seriously lagging behind. And so we in fact will need more investment. We can as well also commit at least 3% of our own GDP to research and development. So what is holding us from putting this type of measure where we are not competing? You can say, okay, those who are already competing, who have already made effort and they are at a global stage, they may not necessarily need to increase the percentage of their GDP into research and development. But here we are. Do you think that 0.5%, of GDP, for instance, of Nigeria, can help us achieve this type of lofty dreams that we're chasing?
Well, I don't know if we have dreams, because what it was.
It's always not dreams.
No, it's. I'm not being sarcastic, because
Okay.
when you have dreams, you would actually have a vision of achieving them, accomplishing them. How you also want it to become a reality. You get. There must be techniques, methods of ensuring that the dream that you have becomes a reality. You get. If you don't put all those methods and all those things in place, do you have a dream then? Because we can always say, but during the time of President Musa Yar'Adua, we had this vision 2020.
Yes.
Okay, now we have a dream. Yeah, started putting things in place to accomplish it. But do we have a dream actually? Now we are past 2020. There's a plan for 2030. What are the things that have been put in place to ensure we achieve that methodically and strategically? Not just saying that we have a dream and you have a vision, and there is no methodic and strategic way of ensuring that that vision is accomplished. It is achieved as within the time frame allocated to it. So the question again: do we truly have a dream? 0.5% to do what? If you actually, do you know a country can actually live on research?
Yes.
Like, you're not doing any other thing. What the country lives on is on research.
And they'll live very big on research, because research is everything.
When you have research and your research are productive, the world will come to you.
Yes, indeed.
It's as if you have something valuable. You are valuable to the extent at which you can solve a problem.
Yes, indeed.
And also the difficulty in getting someone else that can solve the same problem. That's the extent of your value.
Yes.
By default, there are problems in the world. So what stops us from let's pick up this problem and solve it via research? Solving the problem now means that, in fact, you make the world to sleep while you are progressing. Why? Because you are developing in the area of research. The world wakes up to come pick your research, and they pick your research, they pay you things. And the world takes your research out of your country and pays royalty in foreign currency. Do you know the amount of money US gets from patents? Royalty that people get from patents, people get from well-productive research. We have not. It's not. I always say this: our leaders are not research sensitive. They are not research. They are not. They don't even understand the context. When you're talking about research, they don't understand the context and the magnitude of what research and development, or research development and innovation can do to a country.
Yes, indeed. Because if you look at today's world, you can see that even countries like Cuba. I was with the Cuban ambassador recently. A scandal. Her name is Ambassador Scandal, and she was okay during the COVID. Cuba is a very small country that is suffering from serious sanctions. But then look at the research going on in Cuba. Cuban medical doctors are now producing their own vaccines for COVID-19, and their vaccines are tested and are discovered to be one of the best in the world. And you also know that Cuban doctors were ferried to Western Europe, like even in Italy, when COVID-19 devastated that country, Cuban doctors were there on ground to assist in quelling that crisis there. They were also in other parts of Western Europe. And it was a thing of joy that the ambassador expressed in that her country, small country in Latin America, is now providing that value needed in the big Western countries. So you can see what research, and the whole thing boils down to research. So this thing called research is not a joke. Every science product, every product of technology begins with research. Daniel, we have research institutes all over Nigeria. Let's assume, okay, the conventional school system may not have delivered the results that we desire. But then the specialized institutes that are supposed to go into research in different sectors of the economy to bring forth that product that we're all looking for. Why is it not difficult? Is this so much of a problem that they cannot work in synergy to at least achieve one thing? Let us say in the cybersecurity sector, how would they, put heads together to give us something tangible that is uniquely Nigerian that the world can actually.
Well, to start with, we don't have any research-based cybersecurity institute. That's one. Two, you can't research is money consuming.
Yes.
It consumes funds. It consumes, and it can be so terrible to the extent that you spend 500 million on nothing. But the good thing is, maybe just 50 million that you will spend can recover that 500 million back, because the product is a realistic product. So we have numerous specialized research institutes without funding.
That's a serious problem.
Yes. We have specialized research institutes without funding. So if we have research institutes without funding, what do you want them to do? I'm not speaking on behalf of them, but that research it requires money to undertake research. The development that the world is experiencing now, it was birthed in the place of research.
Yes.
The internet we use was birthed in the place of research by the Ivy League universities in the US.
Yes, indeed.
Yet the telecoms growth we are enjoying today was birthed in the place of research. Everything that becomes a product started as an idea. The idea became a prototype. The prototype became a product. And the product is what the end users enjoy now. But when it was an idea, it requires money to convert it from an idea to a prototype. When it becomes a prototype, it requires money to convert it from prototype to a product. And when it becomes a product, it still requires money for mass production.
That is to commercialize
it.
Interesting.
So you find out that the skeletal system that research truly needs, beyond the management system, is dependent. It depends heavily on funding. That, in fact, this is why you find out that most research institutes in Nigeria, they don't depend on the government for funds, because the government truly will not be able to. Is it that not that they can't, but it is not in their priority list? Because when you're bringing a government into place, the government is concerned with building roads, building bridges, building infrastructures. None of the government is concerned with what you use to build these things. They just want these things to be built. You want to build a house, there are research that can be undertaken that will bring about building a 2-bedroom flat for 1.5 million. But before it becomes it, from over 100 million must have gone into that research for it to become a product. But on the long run, you find out that you will be able to build 100 million houses with 200 million.
A very interesting topic here. We are talking about the viability of Nigeria's quest for global competitiveness through the STI, that is Science, Technology, and Innovation. And I've been in the studio with Hania Jafaru. Hania, thank you so much. Always a pleasure having you in the studio.
Thank you.
And we also call on the government and stakeholders to expedite action on this very quest to put Nigeria on the global map of competitiveness, so that we can at least use science, technology, and innovation to build products that can get Nigeria the needed foreign exchange earnings, especially in these difficult times. It's on that note that we draw the curtains on today's edition of Money Radio and Leadership Podcast. I remain Innocent Odo, and I'm saying goodbye and remain blessed.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.